But this week, I'm fairly certain, it can never be certain, but I'm fairly certain we'll blow right through 100K. Then we'll get a really big parabolic move.
Today I sit down with investing expert and founder of Morgan Creek Capital Management, Mark Yusko, to discuss his crypto outlook for 2025.
If they got that bill passed in the first week and suddenly people were like, holy crap, I got to front run the US government, yeah, things could go up faster.
Mark shares his updated Bitcoin price prediction by end of next year.
I actually think this cycle tops.
How to prepare when the market turns.
We will have a bear market. There'll be too much leverage in the system.
And watch today's whole video as Mark reveals his ultimate pick for altcoin with most potential.
Mark, if one of your high school friends comes to you and says, hey, I got an extra bit of money, I'm willing to lose, I have my Bitcoin position, I have my ETH position, you pay attention. What's one other altcoin?
Click the like button to support me, and let's start.
Cryptocurrency today, are we in a new paradigm?
Sure, but I would just say it's an evolution of the existing paradigm. Look, blockchain technologies, of which cryptocurrencies are a use case of blockchain technology, is, I believe, the next computing platform, right? This goes all the way back to 54 with the mainframe, 68 with the microchip, 82 with the personal computer, 96 with the internet, 2010 with the mobile net, and now 2024 right now with the truth net, as I like to call it, where we swap trust with truth. And that all started 15 years ago with the invention of Bitcoin, and it's evolved over the years. And I think today is just an example of people waking up to say, oh, yeah, maybe this isn't going away. Maybe this technology is going to continue to evolve. And hey, wait a minute, this is a better way to transfer value. And, the big thing for me, the aha moment for me, Austin, was, I've been an investor in tech for a long time. And in the early days, it was Web 1, right? Which was the disruption of media, by and large, information could be anywhere. You could post a website and, Encyclopedia Britannica was really valuable. And then Wikipedia became more valuable. So then it evolved into Web 2 and really commerce got disrupted. And commerce was pretty big business. And the aha moment for me was I was literally sitting at a red light and I bought a plane ticket. 90 seconds, bought a plane ticket. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be big, like super big. And now we're in this world where financial services, which is the biggest industry in the world, and it's not close, right? There's no close second, is being disrupted. And it's a 7 trillion with a T, 7 trillion. Remember, $1 a second for 31,710 years. 7 of those babies every year gets extracted from us as users of the trust industry, banks, brokers, insurance companies, et cetera. All of that is going to get disrupted, not tomorrow, but over time. And, Bitcoin's just the monetary use case, digital gold, but there are other use cases. Anyway, that's a long answer to your question, but it's such an important question. Everybody's focused, oh my God, what if it hits 100K? Well, it is going to hit 100K. And then it's going to hit 200K and then 300K, because it's not about Bitcoin. It's one Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin. And there's only 21 million. In fact, there probably aren't even really 21 million because there's some that are lost or stolen. So, but one Bitcoin is always one Bitcoin. What changes is the unit which people value it in. I talk about this all the time. There's never been a bear market in Venezuela for Bitcoin because the bolivar went straight down. So Bitcoin valued in bolivars doesn't have the wild fluctuations like the dollar, the yen, or the euro. And right now, we're back to printing more money. And look, I think the current administration, incoming administration, is better for debt and money printing, which is actually worse for number go up. Like people ask me, well, who do you want to win? I'm like, I actually want someone to win, but I don't really care in the short term because I don't think there's going to be that much difference. In the long term, clearly one side was going to destroy the currency. I mean, the other side, the Democrats, were well on their way to creating the banana republic. I think with a little bit of fiscal discipline, that'll make our lives better. But the number go up will be impacted because remember, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, but the amount of dollars we're devaluing it against will change.
So Bitcoin adoption, almost 100K. You're just saying it's the natural evolution of money, of tech. It was always going to get here. When you were on the channel about over 6 months ago around the halving, you said, and people should go back and watch that because it was pretty much exactly right, that Bitcoin would, just accumulate over the summer around Thanksgiving, where we are today. That's when it would start to pop off.
Best Thanksgiving ever, Austin. Look, I tweeted this out the other day. 3 years ago, in 21, we got the email. We're just not even going to have Thanksgiving, so don't bother coming. Now they had Thanksgiving, but we just weren't welcome. 2 years ago, all right, you can come, but you're sitting at the kids' table. Okay. Last year, all right, you can come, but you're sitting with Uncle Ned. Like, I didn't even know I had an Uncle Ned. Right, wedding crashers. This year, oh my God, head of the table, 2 turkey legs for you. Can I get you another glass of champagne? I mean, this is going to be the best Thanksgiving ever. And I'll stick with what I said 6 months ago, that I thought absolutely no question in my mind we were getting to 6-digit BTC this year in dollars. No question. Why? Well, because fair value was going to be in the low to mid 80s, and we would blow right through that because of animal spirits. And whether we got to 110 or 120 or 150, I don't really know. It just depends how much leverage gets in the system. But this week, I'm fairly certain, it can never be certain, but I'm fairly certain we'll blow right through 100K. Then we'll get a really big parabolic move, sometime between now and December. And, then it's harder to judge. I mean, we don't have that many cycles to look at, but the cycles are very consistent because humans are going to human. When the price is below fair value, investors, people, I like to consider myself an investor. I like to buy things below fair value. That's what I do for a living. And so you buy them and you just hold them. Then what happens is the price starts to rise and get closer to fair value. The traders come in. They're like, oh, movement. I need movement. I don't really care about the fair value. I don't really care at all. I just want to trade. And nothing wrong with trading. I stink at it. I never asked me to trade your money. I'm bad at it. And most humans are bad at it, but there are some good traders. There are a few good traders. But then the speculators come in. Well, what's a speculator? Well, speculator is someone who doesn't really care about anything other than someone needs the other side of a sale, right? Oil producers need to sell their production for it. I'm sitting in Tulsa, Oklahoma in a hotel room with my in-laws. And so here they sell the production forward, and the speculator has to take the other side, because for every buyer, there has to be a seller. For every seller, there has to be a buyer. So speculators are not evil. They just don't care about what they're buying. They just take the other side of the sale. Well, then if the price really starts to move, this is the problem. That's when the gamblers come in. And the gamblers bring leverage, and leverage tends to accelerate the trend until such time as it ends. And, I love this. Everyone looks at these parabolic charts and like, oh, this is great. This is great. This is going to go on forever. Show me one, Austin. I defy anyone watching this video. Show me one chart that goes like this and then stays flat. You can't do it. They all go up and then they come down. Now, they eventually, like the Bitcoin chart, had this big parabolic move in 2013, and then it crashed 84%. And then it had a big parabolic move in 17, and it crashed 84%. Then it had a big parabolic move in 21, and it crashed 76%. Now, I tweeted this out a long time ago. When you look at that 2013, right? It was a 20-fold move. It looks barely visible on the chart today. And the one from 2017 was really big, right? We went from 10,000 to 20,000 in 8 weeks. No, I'm sorry, 5 weeks. From November 6th to December 18th, we went up $10,000 in 5 weeks, just like that. And you could barely see it. Now this move eventually, and then the 21 move looked really big, and then we had the crash. Well, now we're way above this way. So it's a series of higher highs and higher lows. That's the long-term adoption. And that's not going away. That's not going away.
Do you think it's wise to update your price target post-election because things have changed? Or is that a rookie mistake to, as you get more bullish, update the target?
No, it's a really, really important question. Because there's no question at all that this administration, this incoming administration, chose actively to embrace Bitcoin and other things. We'll see how many other things, but definitely Bitcoin. And so that alone is worth some momentum. Now, there's a difference between talking to get votes, which is clearly what he did, right? I don't believe that the Donald has a wallet of his own. I don't think he bought Bitcoin or any other coin for that matter. I think his son probably has some, and I think JD definitely has some. I think there are other people in the administration, but I don't think Donald Trump really cared. But someone told him, you know, hey, there's probably 100 million people that own this stuff. Some of them are going to vote. So you could say, I love you and vote for me. And I'm sure you saw the video when he went to Bitcoin Nashville.
I was there.
And he gave his speech, right? I love the look on his face when he said, on day one, I'll fire Gary Gensler. And people went crazy. And he's like, I mean, he was literally shocked at how like emotional. And he's like, I'm going to say that again. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. And the place went crazy. And then every time, and I'll free Rosh and play with it great. And I'll do this. He's like, damn, this is real. And so no question that that's worth something. But the hard part is the talk versus the walk. So yeah, you can say, we're going to do a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Easy to say, harder to do. Harder to get that bill actually passed. Even with a majority, still going to be tougher to get it passed. So if that happens, then I actually might have to update. Because why would I have to update? Well, because if you think about the two reasons that the price of an asset moves. So one is the fundamental value changes. Well, how does the fundamental value changes? Well, you make something new, you invent some new innovation, you're a company, you make lots of widgets, and you create new cash flows. And that's really not what Bitcoin or other cryptos are. So that's not it. Okay, well then what else can happen? Well, you could have two people agree on the price for a small amount. And I may be a miner and I need to get a certain amount on my Bitcoin to pay my bills. And so unless you offer me that amount, I'm not going to sell. And so I'll hold until I get the price I need to cover my bills. And that's kind of why post-halving, the price has this upward trajectory. Because if my block rewards go down, I need to get more money per unit than I used to get to cover my bills, or I go out of business. So the propensity to sell is reduced, which means the bid has to come up. Beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful coding, because that momentum, that price change then attracts attention. So this is where the last part of value change can happen, is if there is a supply shock, right, which is a halving event, there's less supply of new coins, and so many are hodled. But then there could be a demand shock. If a government, not that El Salvador is not cool, but it's small. I mean, it's teeny tiny, and they have a few hundred, few hundred thousand, yeah, few $100,000, no, few hundred million of value. Okay, I mean, that's not nothing. But if we're talking about 1 million coins, arguably 6-ish% of the supply, if I say the supply is about 18-ish, that's a big deal. And so that would say, okay, Mark, you're conservative. And now, this 120, 150, now maybe max 220. Of course, he's been calling for 220 for a long time. And I love Max and Stacy, but I do poke fun a little bit. Well, because my partner, Jason Williams, we got into this debate, 2 years ago actually 3 years ago at the last cycle, when things were going up and like, it's going to 200K. I'm like, there is no way it's going to 200K yet. Someday, but not now. And it didn't. What did we get to? 74K or whatever it was. But so eventually it will hit 240. And I read this morning, someone was saying, oh, it'll be 250 in 8 weeks. If the bill gets passed in the first 100 days, and that wouldn't be 8 weeks, but we got, well, it's about 8 weeks. So 8 weeks from now, we'll be post inauguration. And if they got that bill passed in the first week, and suddenly people are like, holy crap, I got to front run the US government. Yeah, things can go up faster.
If that bill gets passed, looking years down the road, do you think that's going to cause one of the biggest FOMOs crypto has ever seen? And how fast could we get to 1 million?
See, that's fast because, here's the thing. 100K to 1 million, it's not that big a move. It's 10x, right? I mean, it's not that it's not a big move, but it's not that big. The miracle of Bitcoin is not that it's going to hit 100K this week. It's not a miracle. It seems like a miracle. And, Dan Moorhead just posted the thing yesterday. His original Bitcoin fund is up 1,000x. To go up 1,000x in anything is one of the great investments of all time, period. But 1,000x is a lot different than 10x. 10x, a lot of things go up 10x. I mean, not many, but a lot. And so that 1 million, even though the number sounds big, that move's really not even that impressive. And I think baked in, highly likely, when don't really know. But the miracle of Bitcoin was it went from 0.003 cents to $1. That was the miracle, both in terms of multiple. Like if you were there at the 0.003 cents and you got to $1, now most people would have sold. It would have been long gone, right? Because they made, so many times their money. And there are lots of examples of people bought at 50 cents and sold at 250 and thought they were so smart. But ultimately, each incremental move, and that's why, when people show linear scale charts, I go batshit crazy. It's like long-term charts have to be log scale. They have to be log scale. Because going from 100 to 200, right? That's 100% increase. Going from 200 to 300 is not. So yes, it's 100,000 move, but it's only half as much. And so you have to look at log scale. So again, that's a long answer. Going from 250 to 1 million, that'll happen like fast. Now, is it likely, I think, that we have the next bear market before that? Yes, right? I actually think this cycle tops, I used to say 150-ish. Now maybe that's a little higher. Maybe we get to the 2 handle. But, next fall-ish, I'm guessing October, September timeframe, we will have a bear market. There'll be too much leverage in the system, and humans will human, and we'll have another downdraft. Now, could that be mitigated by this big FOMO? Look, if the U.S. passes the bill, and then every other government around the world says, well, shit, if they did it, I got to do it. And then we have a whole bunch of people competing for a very, very scarce resource. Because here's the thing, gold, while provably scarce, isn't absolutely scarce. right? You can go mine more of it if the price gets high enough. Bitcoin doesn't work that way. There's only so many, and the ones that are lost or stolen, you really can't get them back. I mean, everyone's got this story. They know somebody, like a guy used to work for me. His daughter was in college and she was mining on her laptop and the hard drive crashed and they tried everything and they even sent it to the NSA. And, the NSA said, oh, we couldn't find it. Like baloney. They found it. They're just telling you they can't find it. So it's in the government somewhere. I'm just kidding around.
Let's talk about Ethereum, because in 2024, Ethereum seemingly has struggled versus Bitcoin versus crypto.
Sure.
Yet after Trump won, the Ethereum ETF inflows much more consistent. What's your outlook for 2025?
Look, I like smart contracts. I like Ethereum. I like the EVM. I like all of that. But I think the problem is innovation, right? Innovation tends to obsolete original innovation. Now, the difference is in an open source world, in theory, if I have Ethereum and somebody does something better, right? Cheaper, faster, stronger, I should be able to copy paste whatever it is that makes them better onto mine. And that was what I was said about Bitcoin. Someone can fork it, but no one's going to go there because you want the longest chain. And if somebody actually does something better, like SegWit or whatever, you can just copy paste it in and the developers can agree and you got a better chain. So to me, Ethereum should have been unassailable, but for whatever reason, they didn't seem to react to the Solanas and the others that arguably do have faster and cheaper. And someone said this, and I can't take credit for it. I think it might have been Happy Pirate or somebody who said, it might have even been you, who said, if Solana, if Ethereum didn't exist and was invented today, would anybody use it? It's a tough question. And I'm not like saying anything bad about Vitalik or anybody else. It's just, if you had this other series of chains that were faster and cheaper, now they're not as, I got a lot of trouble with you, mister.
That was you.
Because I was talking about Solana and I talked about the vaporizing transactions and oh my God, the people lost their shit. Like, it's true. Truth is an absolute defense, by the way, but they didn't like my term. They're like, no, you could resubmit. I'm like, but if I didn't resubmit, then that transaction is vaporized. And so Solana's made a bunch of fixes. They still go down, but it's better. And so that's, again, long-winded way of saying, I like Ethereum, but developer activity is slowing and starting to see increased developer activity in some other chains. And someone pointed out something that I hadn't realized, that, everyone looks at the GitHub numbers and commits. He said a bunch of the commits are bug fixes, and those shouldn't really count. I'm like, that's actually a pretty good point. Unless it's new development for something that's improvement, that probably isn't a good indication of growth. Now, you got things like Ethereum that should be good. It's got real use cases. It's got real community. It's got real developers, versus Doge, which doesn't have anything. But now maybe, now that Elon's got his Department of Government Efficiency, maybe they'll make that. Are they going to make that the CBDC? I hope not, but I guess they could, and make it a use case, and then it'll be worth a lot more. Look, I'm bitter because I don't own any Doge, but in fact, it's funny. The day before the election, we had some capital in our fund, and we can own up to 30% liquid protocols. The rest is in equity. And so we said, all right, what are we going to buy? And I go, well, we should buy Bitcoin because we think, Trump's going to win, and that'll be really bullish for Bitcoin short term. So let's do that. And one of the guys was like, no, we should buy Doge. Doge has way more beta. We are an institutional fund. We are not going to buy a meme coin. We're not. Clearly, we should have bought Doge. Doge is up like 4 times as much. But my youngsters they're probably richer than me because they play in the meme coins, but it's all good.
So for Ethereum, is the issue that people don't care about decentralization and censorship resistant as much if it's not money? They care with money. And do you still think Ethereum could be part of those 5 protocols, the TCP, make it in the end?
It's exactly right, Austin. So for money, they're like the bankless guys try to say Ethereum is money. Knock yourselves out. No, I just disagree. Money needs to be decentralized, needs to be fault tolerant, and there can only be one, right? There's only one gold. Because, but there's silver and there's platinum. Nope, there's only one gold. And gold has been money, right, for 5,000 years. And so I will argue that, proof of work is critical for that true decentralization and fault tolerance. Full stop. Now, people will argue with me back and forth. Look, I'm entitled to my opinion. I'm a big Adam Back fan, so I love proof of work. So I think Bitcoin is digital gold, and it wins, and I think it will end up in every central bank in the world, and that'll be a big deal. Ethereum has a place, I believe, as a toolkit for the smart contractization of life, right? Everything will be digitized. Every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every collectible car, every piece of real estate, like this hotel I'm sitting in, all of it will be tokenized and digitized, and we're going to need smart contracts. Now, part of the challenge for me still is I like on-chain. I don't want to be on an AWS server with a pointer to the chain, because AWS could call up one day and say, you know what, you're done. Right? I'm sure everybody's watched the Mark Andreessen thing about all the people that have been debanked, right? But debanking is no different than, de-accessing is AWS or Azure could say, you know what, you're off our servers. And then what happens? So I really like truly things that are on chain. And, but that doesn't mean that there can't be more than one protocol. Now, you and I have talked about this there are 5 protocols in Web 1 and Web 2, TCP/IP, we're using it right now, FTP, SMTP, HTTPS, and www. Fine. Okay. And people, but there's 5, whatever. There are 5 core protocols. Now, could there be 5 core protocols in Web 3? Sure. And I've talked about it, right? Bitcoin, the base layer, Filecoin, kind of, maybe, and maybe Ethereum is like www. And then it breaks down a little bit because there's no email and no website. But that could be. But then there's no, we're gonna have all these L1s. The Chainlink guys are all over me. Like, we told you. I'm like, okay, it's up, but it's still the same as it was a few years ago. So I still struggle with a bunch of L1s and bridges. If the bridges aren't really, really secure, then that model breaks down. And the Chainlink guys say, well, no, we are super secure. I'm like, well, maybe, but I'm not there yet. And then you got this other world, which is the Lord of the Rings world, which is one chain to rule all chains, and everything has to be proof of work, and everything goes to Bitcoin. And then we'll have L2s and L3s. Well, fine, build the L2s and L3s and show me. So I don't know yet, but I don't really need to know yet because it's in development, right? We're evolving. Technology, it took 80 years. No, not 80, I'm sorry. No, there were 80 protocols. It took 50 years, 80 protocols, to go from 80 protocols to 5, right? The internet was a long time coming. And I think Web3 will be a long time developing fully. But, there will come a day where I won't, Apple Pay, right? Really? All I'm doing is giving you at a point of sale my MasterCard number. That's not new technology. Like one of my favorite lines is fintech. There's no tech. It's just a fancy UI UX. So yeah, it's cool that I can double click and bing. Okay, I did Apple Pay, but I didn't use anything Apple or Pay. I used MasterCard, and I still settle up once a month. So in the future, there will be a real wallet with real crypto on it. And whether that's a Phantom wallet or some other, I don't know. Phantom wallet's pretty fast. What Phantom, I think, was like the fifth highest app last week. I think I have this right. I think Coinbase was like number 2 or something, and Phantom was like 5. I'm like, that is information content. Not saying it's right, but it has information content.
Mark, if one of your high school friends comes to you and says, hey, I got an extra bit of money, I'm willing to lose, I have my Bitcoin position, I have my ETH position, you pay attention. What's one other altcoin that you're bullish on for 2025?
Yeah. Now, the runes guys want me to say dog go to the moon. So I said it, but I'm not. I mean, I do have some. So I'm a huge Casey Rodamore fan, and the runes guys and Leonidas and all those guys. So I love those guys. But not a meme coin. I've become pretty partial to Solana. I gotta say it. I mean, the guys have done a good job convincing me. And thankfully we didn't sell our last bag, and it's gone from 13 to 240 or whatever. So that's pretty good. This will sound funny, but as much as I don't like them technically, what I mean by that is XRP and Cardano, because I've never met anyone. This is crazy. I mean, I work in the business. I've never met a developer working on a Cardano project. Now that maybe I just run in the wrong circles, but I've never met one.
This is the new thing that gets you in trouble. This will be the thing.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, because they're going to come at me. Well, I would be happy. I would be happy to meet a developer that's developing something real in Cardano. But here's the weird thing. Both of those have ties now politically. And look, Garlinghouse is part of the WEF crowd and the banking crowd, and that somehow is tied in to Trump maybe. And clearly Charles has tried to be a big player. So both of those have had big runs here. And again, if I had money that I was willing to lose, because I think you could literally lose it, I might actually own a little bit of those, because I do think, and Hedera is another one, where those three, Cardano, Hedera, and XRP, I think, depending on how this czar position and all that stuff plays out, could I see a world in which, as a bridge to the future, meaning the incumbents don't want to be displaced tomorrow, they say, you know what, fine, we'll use XRP or we'll use some Hedera thing and we'll be crypto. No, you won't. You'll be CBDC, which I hate, but okay. And could that make some money in the short term? Sure. But that's a trader play. Again, I'm not good at that. Well, yeah, and I want to like Link. I really do. I do, but I haven't gotten there yet. And I just can't do the memes. I should. I know I should. But I just can't do it. Oh, although look, don't bet against Elon, obviously. So owning Doge here probably is not the dumbest thing in the world. I thought it was pretty dumb all the way from 0 to 60 billion. So joke's on me. I'm the dumb one. But anyway, that's probably it.
What do you
like? I don't know. Tell me, what do you like?
Oh, I mean, the question you have to ask is how much risk do you want to take? Because I think if they say that they're game to take risk, they have their positions and they have an extra $1,000 or whatever, I would tell them go for the meme coins, because it is the meme coin cycle. Yeah. But you probably will lose that. But
that's like going to Vegas, and I'm not against going to Vegas, but understand when it's actually not like going to Vegas, because in Vegas the house always wins. In meme coins, there can be multiple winners. It's not totally zero sum because new money does come in. Now, the amount of money that goes in versus the amount of air that's created by buyers and sellers and the bid ask, that's different. Like when people talk about the market cap, well, no, right? Like if Elon today, I mean tomorrow, said, I'm selling my Doge, how far down would the price go? A lot, like a lot. So that's different. Now, if you have 100 Doge and you want to sell it, no problem. You can get what's listed. So if it's money that like I talk about this, everyone should have 3 buckets. You should have your liquidity bucket to fund your lifestyle. 2 to 3 years of spending, 5 to 10%, I'm sorry, 10 to 15%. And it has to be liquid, high quality stuff you can't lose. Then you got your get rich bucket. Again, 10 to 15%. I always joke that was to do your condo deal with your brother-in-law or your friend's venture deal. You're going to lose all of it. So keep it small. So you put meme coins in there, but that 10 to 15%, you want to, get rich, right? And you can't get rich doing stuff in the middle of the bell curve, right? 10, 11% compounders. That'll keep you from being poor because it'll beat inflation over the long term, but it won't make you rich. The rich comes from concentrated positions where you get lucky, right? You have to be contrarian and right. Because if you're contrarian and wrong, you just lose money. If you're contrarian and right, you have the chance to make a lot. But for me, I wouldn't, and this is why I'm not, I'm never going to be a rich trader, because you really should pick 1 or 2 and be concentrated, because that's how you win. For me, I would scattershot. I would do 10 or 15 of them, know that I'm going to press my winners and I'm going to cut my losers fast. And look, that to me is what separates the great investors from the rest, is the ability to press winners rather than take it off the table, and to cut your losers and just say, I was wrong. And there are a couple other things that make people really great long-term investors. One is that contrarian mindset and willing to seek out alternative views that challenge yours. Consistency and the like. But at the end of the day, I have no problem with people taking a small portion of their wealth and going for it. And particularly in a world where we have a memification of finance. And what is that? Well, Pomp said, I don't know if he took it from somebody else, but it's monetizing attention. Really not that different than boiler room stocks in the 20s or penny stocks in the 70s. Not that different, or Toronto Stock Exchange today, where you want to buy any scam in the world, just go to Toronto Stock Exchange, somebody will sell it to you. This is a little bit different in that you need other people to pay attention to it. Like dog, go to the moon, right? What is it? Well, it's just a meme coin, but they're saying because on Bitcoin, because in a rune form, that's better. Well, arguably, yes. If it's on the biggest, blockchain, then in theory, there should be more eyes on it, and maybe it could be bigger, but it's nowhere close to what Doge has done, or even Shiba Inu, for God's sake. So anyway, that's a lot of riffing on memes, but I don't play that much in them. So I'm probably not the best source.
Well, actually, final topic, and this does have a little bit to do with memes, but we mentioned Mark Andreessen. We're seeing AI agent meme coins like GOAT take off. What is your take, and how does that end, do you think?
I think they are taking off for a good reason, because what is AI? AI is just a better, faster task doer, right? Read the encyclopedia. It'll take me hours. Takes an AI seconds. Read the works of William Shakespeare. Takes me days. Takes an AI seconds. memorize this pattern and give me the next letter. Human being takes a while. So AI is just super fast. Monetizing attention, AIs can do that really well because they're 24/7. They don't sleep. It's like the line, in Maverick, my favorite movie, right? And where the Drone Ranger saying, you're kind, Maverick, pilots that need to eat, sleep, take a piss, disobey orders. Yeah, drones don't need to do that. AIs don't need to do that. So that makes sense. How does it end? It probably ends with a whimper, not a bang, meaning you just get so many and there's only so much money that, some will go up, some will go down, some will go up, some will go down. And then those people will just lose attention. Because at the end of the day, if there's one AI agent, they're going to make a lot of money. If there's two, less, 3, 10, 20, 20,000, and people say, oh, there'll be millions of meme tokens. Okay, but if there's only so many dollars to convert into that, it's do the math, right? There can be less, rocket ship rides as you get more of them. So early in any technology wins is one thought. The second thought is the communities matter. And unless those agentic, pools attract, well, I was going to say unless they attract humans, but I guess they could attract other AIs. And then it's just a self-perpetuating frenzy that I have to think about. That's a good question. I have to think about that one a little more.
Something for the next episode. Mark, thank you so much for sharing your time. Links for all your stuff down below. Final thoughts for the Altcoin Daily Army.
Look, one, appreciate you letting an old guy like me come chat. I seriously mean no offense if I say anything that angers people. It's funny. When I one time I got media training, and the guy came in, we sat down, and he asked me a question, and I started answering. He says, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" I'm answering. He says, "You never answer the question. You deflect and redirect and talk about something you want to talk about." I said, "Dude, I'm a dutiful firstborn. You ask me a question, I'm going to answer it." So that's one of my flaws, is you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it, when I should say, Jesus, I'm going to piss some people off. I probably shouldn't answer that. So if I offended anybody, I apologize. And what I want is, like Happy Pirate did, call me out, call me on a DM and say, hey, let me educate you. Let me show you how to do that. Let me show why you're wrong. I live for that. I live to talk to people with different views that I can learn from. So that's the first thing. Second, grateful to you and everybody else who creates community. I mean, the reach that you and your brother built is awesome. And I'm psyched to be a little tiny part of it. So thank you for all you do to keep the community growing and active and engaged. 3, everyone have a great Thanksgiving with your family. Remember, that's what this is ultimately all about. Making money is great. Having fun is great. Engaging with new technology is great. But at the end of the day, hug your friends and your family and your kids and your spouse and your significant other and whoever it is, and really appreciate the number one thing in life, which is gratitude, which is what Thanksgiving is all about. So I am grateful for all those things. I'm grateful for the opportunity to hang out with you every once in a while, and wish everybody the best for the new year.